You know, look, I mean, there's people making over $200,000 with this system. There's people making hundreds of thousands of dollars with this system. And yes, that's all great, but when you look at somebody outside looking in, they might look at that as, oh, that's unrealistic, or that's a lot of money, because it is a lot of money. But truth be told, there's a lot of people, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people, making an extra few $100s, making their car payment, their mortgage payment, just enough to change their life and move forward into something new in their life, and to have the confidence to do that. And to me, that just gives me the feeling of an accomplishment that you never expect you'd ever have in your life. Unless you're maybe a firefighter, or you're a policeman, or a nurse, or a doctor, you get that gratifying feeling. Well, the same in our industry is when you can help people get those small accomplishments, and they call you and they say to you on the phone. There's another gentleman that I met here, I won't mention his name, but he was actually living in his car, and he had to sell things just to even be here. And it was just an amazing story that he had enough money now through his business to be able to go to these events and to build his business in his new life. He still can't pay his bills, but he had enough to get here, and that's what mattered. And just to feel that drive in someone, again, it brings me back to when I had that same drive, and when I was down and out, and I had to spend every penny I had just to meet the people that I knew I wanted to be like. And so it just comes back to that, and just gives you that good feeling inside. As a child, I guess I was kind of an outsider to some degree, because I always wanted to do something that nobody else was doing. I was never the kid that was in sports. I was a swimmer as a kid. I was a fish. You know, I was a state swimmer. I was very good at that, but it's a very individual sport. You don't do it with a team necessarily. I was in martial arts for a long time. And after high school, I wanted to do something. I didn't want to go to college and do the traditional thing, and so I moved to Thailand in order to study the art of Muay Thai. That was my dream. That was my idea of living life. And so I went out there and studied that, and ended up competing over there. And you know, obviously I learned that probably wasn't a long-term career for myself, but I was doing something that nobody else was doing. I took the road less traveled. And just because it wasn't college, it prepared me for what else would come, to where I am today. It was that leadership, it was that struggle, it was the challenge of that experience that really led me forward. You know, I was always an outsider, I guess you could call it, in the sense that I was pretty soft-spoken, you know, in school and around other kids. So I would always be the guy in the gym, putting in the work while everybody else was partying and spending time with their friends, because I knew that if I wanted to excel in where I wanted to go, that it was the work that would do that. I wasn't given any gifts or anything ahead of time. So in high school, I moved to Thailand just post that, and then I went to college. I came back from Asia, and I said, you know what, I gotta go get a job. I need to go to college and get a degree, because that's what people do. And so I went to the University of Minnesota and studied criminology. I wanted to get in the FBI. So being a fighter and being an athlete really didn't appeal to me as far as where I wanted to go in life. It was a chapter, it was open chapter, closed chapter, and I wanted to get into the FBI, so I went to college. And right after 9/11, post 9/11, I got a job offer from the government. It was from Homeland Security, and to me that was my foot in the door. That was my way in. That was my way into the FBI. And so I dropped out of college, took the position with Homeland Security, and worked there for a couple years. And the realization that I had was the government wasn't for me at that point. Why that is, I don't know. It's just there was a lot of reasons within that environment that just weren't me. And had I not got that opportunity, I would have gone all the way through college and then realized that. So I was really lucky and blessed to have that experience. So I was in the Homeland Security. I actually dropped everything, moved to Miami, Florida, became a financial broker at a big firm in Miami, in Boca Raton actually. And you know, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be successful. And I figured if I could be around other successful people, I in turn would become successful. Through some books that I've read and people I was studying at the time, that was the road I wanted to take. So I got my Series 7, my Series 63, worked in this big firm, and made all this money. But I'll tell you, it was miserable. It was absolutely miserable, because I just hated what I was doing. I hated the person I was becoming. And I remember it was a day in 2003. The markets were shifting a lot, and I had a client that just spent about $250,000 on an investment with me the day before, a couple days before. The market swung the opposite direction, and he lost it all. Everything gone. I went into the office unprepared, not knowing what to do, and I remember asking my boss, I said, what do I tell this guy? What do I say to him? He said, well, Chris, you just got to call him back and ask him for more money. I said, I don't know if I can do that. He said, well, if you can't do that, there's the door. And I just kind of just sat there because I had all this success and I had these clients that, you know, I built up over the years, and I just walked out the door. I said, I cannot become this person that I see myself becoming, no matter how much money it came down to. I can't just ask this person for more money because of the trade that I was doing. I doubted the place I was at in life, you know what I mean? Like, the person I was becoming was a very confident salesperson. And in that type of industry, you get paid to lie, you get paid to misdirect people. You know, in an investment world, if something happens on CNN, people think, okay, the market's going to shift. Well, that's all factored in. You know, brokers know that, but we're taught to call them and do trades because, let's be honest here, you make money moving person from trade to trade. And anybody in the financial world and the broker world knows how that works, especially in the 80s when all that money came about. So I knew that. But it got to a point where it wasn't about somebody making money anymore. Even though a lot of our clients did, it was always about moving them from one thing to the next to the next. I was young, and so as a young, striving business person, you know, somebody who wants to get their career off the ground, you'll listen to whoever's in front of you. And they taught and they teach, you know, how to be successful in that industry. And there are certain things that you do in order to be successful in the financial markets like that. So I saw myself becoming very good at my craft. I was very, very good. And I've seen these patterns in my life. Every job, whether it was Homeland Security, whether it's a professional athlete, whether it was working as a broker, I've been very, very good because I can adapt and just apply myself. I'm very motivated and dedicated. But what ended up happening was it started getting me to question the system. What is the system? What is the objective really here? You know, I'm calling this client who wants to invest money in order to make more money and leverage themselves, and we paint the picture for them, and it's beautiful and it's sunny on that side of the fence. But truth be told, there's an alternative objective there, and I started to learn that, and to be honest with you, I just didn't like what I was seeing, and the phone got heavy. I had these clients that had huge net worths, massive net worths, and I respected them, but they listened to me, somebody who was a young kid, uneducated, didn't have life experience, and you know, I was sweet talking him into a deal that really wasn't for his best interest. I didn't have his best interest in mind because that's what I was taught to do.
Did you feel bad at that?
I felt completely bad about it. I felt horrible because it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. More money and more money and more money was being spent and lost, and some was being made, but again, it was just flipped over constantly. So,
Did you start to dislike yourself at all?
You know, I lived on the beach. I lived on the beach in Miami, and I never went to the beach. I was never content. I was never happy with just relaxing, you know? And it was maybe just because I knew I had this passion and these goals, but I could never reach them. They were always out of sight because I just felt guilty for what I was doing. And then I looked around me and I looked at the people in my office, and they were all divorced. They're all miserable, half of them depressed and high strung because of that, what that business had taken them to. So I saw myself in the mirror, and one day I just said enough was enough, walked out the door, and I moved back to where my roots were. I moved back to Minnesota, to the Midwest, to what I knew. I gave my sports cars away. I gave everything I had away, and I started from scratch.
How did that feel to do that?
I was scary. Yeah, it was scary.
Why?
Because it's uncertain. There's that uncertainty of, okay, what am I going to do now? You know, and I started to see a pattern in my life of moving around from thing to thing, and I didn't like that because I wanted to stay on course. And so I started reading books, and I had an uncle that I had never met who flew in, and he actually introduced me to Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, and that changed my paradigm to how I thought about myself and success, and to be able to be okay with struggle. And so I just started my own business from scratch with some people that I knew, and I struggled for 4 years. I was broke, worse than college broke. You know, and it was scary. I had to sell everything I had. All the savings, investments were gone. All the hard work I had put in, the track record I had, it was just vanished. You know, it was scary. It was really scary, man. You feel like a loner, you know, and it's affected relationships in my life because it's never been a constant, you know, and so you kind of feel like a loner for a while. And as a kid, I always wanted to be a Navy SEAL because I was a swimmer. And in high school, I went out to California, to San Diego, to meet with the Navy SEAL team out there because I wanted to train to do that. But because I'm a family-oriented person, I could never make that jump. Well, after all these trials and tribulations and going back now and being broke, I was like, man, I wish I would have just committed to that original goal. But then again, you can't look back like that, because what I had learned, and now I've had success and done some great things, I can look back and say, you know what, that experience made me who I am. That experience helped me become a better leader. You know, that experience of being broke gave me the humility that I needed, you know. So do I regret any of that? Absolutely not. You know, you have to go through that. But, you know, you go through that stage of that fear. You know, are you going to ever get out of this rut, to this spiral? You know, and it's not that it's failure, it's just change. You know, you're always changing, and it's scary when you do that.
Wow.
You know, when I was struggling and I was down and out, I guess you'd call it, or trying to make something of yourself, you always have a vision of who you want to be or who you want to be like, or, you know, a vision of how you want to live your life. And I think for me it was moving past the doubt and the people that say, you know, you're still doing that, you should probably go get a job. You know, you should probably do what everybody else is doing. And it was moving past that, and it was not conforming to what everybody else thought was the right thing to do, because I struggled for a long, long time. And there was ups and there was downs, and there was more downs than there were ups. And for me, I think it was just the confidence of never listening to that voice in your head, or listening to that, you know, conscience on your shoulders saying, you know what, aren't you tired of being broke? You know, your friends are out here, even if they were making $30,000 a year, they were making money and they were at least paying their bills, and I couldn't even do that. So your conscience tells you, okay, are you really doing the right thing? Are you really where you should be at this age? And you know, I was in my late 20s, early mid-20s, I guess you'd call it, late 20s. And it's just that person that's always in the back of your mind saying, is this really going to pan out? Is it really going to work? You try and you try and you try and you push and you push, and you're never getting up. That was a struggle, you know, and it was because of the people in my life and the people that I surrounded myself with that helped me get through those times. I had great mentorship, I had great role models in the industry, and I mean industry as in business in general, and even people that had nothing to do with what I was trying to do, but they had come from a place of hardship similar to what I was at and where I was at, and so I could reflect that. And I remember it was a phone call from a friend of mine. His name was Michael Zappi. I love him to death to this day. He's a near and dear friend of mine, and he called me on the phone. He said, Chris, I'm running at a breathless pace. Do you want to run with me? Do you want to be that person to run with me? And this is a person that I had looked up to. He had reached the goal that I wanted to get to. And I remember he was in New York City. He left a message on my phone. I have that message to this day. And this was back in 2004, 2005. And to this day, I still listen to it almost weekly now, because it was that message that got me over the hump. It was that message of somebody being confident in me, even though he knew I was broke, he knew I was struggling, but he saw that spark, that fire. And there's even another one. There was another gentleman, his name is Richard Call. He was another great mentor of mine, somebody who's accomplished wonders in the business world. You know, I mean, unbelievable amounts of wealth, and he's helped a lot of people succeed. And I got an opportunity to meet him one day, and I had no money in my pocket. And I remember flying out to Las Vegas, spent every dime I could to get on a plane. And I was going to impress this Richard Call person. And I couldn't even afford hotel. So I remember sleeping in the lawn of the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino that night because I couldn't afford a hotel room, so I slept in the lawn. And it was hot, it was 100 degrees, and I remember it was about 8 in the morning, and people were coming out of the nightclub, young people were coming out of the nightclub, and I thought to myself, I said, what am I doing? You know, I'm sitting here broke, sweating, meeting some guy I don't even know who he is, and everybody else is out there having fun. They're in their 20s, partying and living life. And I was sitting there just struggling, laying in the lawn. I felt like a bum, you know. And I remember Richard Call pulling up in his Rolls Royce. I'll never forget this. And the first thing he looked at me, he said, did you have a rough night? I said, no, I just slept in the grass. And he actually got upset at me. He said, don't you ever do that again. You always have a place to stay here in Las Vegas. And so we went to his beautiful, beautiful home. It was a massive house. And that vision and that support for somebody like that, and to this, you know, who do you meet along the way that's going to push you forward, move you forward? But it also goes the other way. You know, who do you meet that's going to bring you back and keep you back? And so I guess I owe a lot of my success to those people and, you know, what they brought to the table. But I was okay with that. You know, I was okay with the struggle because I was already struggling. You know, what's laying in the lawn for a night? But you start to doubt yourself along that way, because I started to see my peers coming out of this club, spending money, having fun. You know, here I was sweating, sitting in a suit trying to impress. I was sweaty. I was just in a rough place, because, I mean, this is a guy that I had looked up to now and known about, and I just remember the emotions of telling him that, saying, God, I hope this guy just doesn't turn around and leave. You know, saying, who's this guy? But it was quite the opposite. You know, he said, get in, let's go have dinner, you know, and let me stay at his home, you know, and to this day, like I said, it's been a friendship that has been a staple in my life because of the risk that I took, because of the getting uncomfortable, you know, and feeling like, you know, you feel like you're a failure to some degree when you're truly at rock bottom, and you're trying to put yourself in a position to succeed, even if it's just to meet someone. And to this day, I encourage everyone to do what you have to do to put yourself next to someone that can enhance your life. Because I'm telling you, like, wonders will happen, miracles will happen, and it's just through association that occurs. I don't know why it happens that way. I don't know why it happened with me, but it just happens. So after all the struggle and after all the hardship and perseverance, the fortitude, all of this that came into place, I found success, and you know, I saw myself growing now, and I saw my niche, I saw my place in the world, and so I started to have great success. And I mean great successes, and success that you don't even imagine you can have, okay? Stuff that you start to have coming into your life that you don't even dream about. And maybe it's the struggle that brings that in, but needless to say, I found it, and I had a lot of money, I had a lot of great things, and had the lifestyle. I was living my dream, working from home, traveling, meeting great people, taking risks, okay, losing big amounts of money as well. So I was in a position to where I could take risks and start to work out of passion rather than and more out of purpose. Now, I did kind of become complacent for a while, and I think every entrepreneur does this. You reach a certain point of success and you become a little complacent with your efforts. You sit back a little bit and you say, I'm comfortable where I'm at. Well, that happened for like about 30 seconds with me, okay? Because me personally, anybody that knows me, I'm very passionate about what I do. I like creating product, and good product. I like seeing somebody's reaction to what I create. It's not about, okay, how much money can I make this month? Let's hit this number. It's more about, let's create the best product. And through people that I've studied, like Steve Jobs and some of the other great creators out there, they're so passionate about their craft and the products that they create that the money is just the byproduct. The reactions of their market is the byproduct. And so I've always spent more time developing and taking risks, because it wasn't about the money anymore. And it's funny because people say to me, Chris, how do I get to where you are? How can I have what you have? And I said, you just have to love what you do and do what you love. And so I started developing products. I started developing things and ways for people to have an easier way than I had. So what I'm trying to say here is, I struggled. I had a lot of hurdles to go over. I had a lot of road bumps, and I wanted to try to eliminate that, because I felt like I had the skill to do that now, because I knew what those road bumps were, so it was all right in front of me. So I had all these challenges that I had. How can I fold them up and get rid of them so the average person maybe might not have as many? You can have challenges, but how do we get rid of the majority so the average person can come into a new business or a new environment to make some money, or to be an entrepreneur for that matter, and not have the common mistakes that we have. And so that's why I started developing systems, and I started looking at technology, and I started looking at different types of logical ways to overcome hurdles, you know, being creative. I was always very creative. Couldn't draw worth anything as a kid, but I was always very creative minded. And so I started developing business systems, and all I mean by that is just a way to simplify the often complex world of internet marketing. You know, everybody likes the Google and sees people making all this money. Well, it's not as easy as you think, but it's easier than what most people think, if that makes sense. So started to make some systems. They started to work. They worked well for us. We hit 7 figures right away doing that. We started to scale our business, and it just kept going and going. And all of a sudden I started to look and said, well, the average person isn't quite making the money like we are. Why is that? And so we stepped back and we reanalyzed what we're doing, and we built the system a little bit differently, and people jumped in and said, okay, I want to use what you're doing, Chris. And they started having more success. So I said, okay, this is great. But then there were some other people that weren't making money. So I'm seeing all these different personalities of people that weren't succeeding, but then there were some. And so it was in 2010, I merged with my competitor at the time. His name was also Chris. And we came together to collaborate to make a system that really simplified everything. And I kind of look at it like this, Apple developed the iPhone to simplify how smartphones work. Well, that was my vision, to do that for the online business world, to simplify the complexity of this industry in general. So we did that, and it was a huge success. I mean, we had thousands of people making money, thousands of people actually seeing success for the first time in their life, which was incredible. And then we stepped back and we let that ride, and we let people succeed with that. And we said to each other, you know what? We need to do this 10 times bigger than what we're doing. We need to show the masses, almost in a franchise way, how to do this step by step, so they can plug into a system, a business platform, where they can have their own business up and running within almost minutes, and use a track record that has already been proven. It's not really about, okay, this is the best product, you're going to lose all this weight with it, or if this is the best technology. It's how do you get that in people's hands and show them the value really quickly so you can make money fast. And so you're not struggling so you can't pay your bills and you quit because you just can't survive. So we simplified it and let people make money quickly and easily. We made it understandable for the everyday person, so you didn't need a college degree to do this stuff, and you didn't have to have this huge budget. And that was what most people assume is, if I'm going to go online, I got to have thousands upon thousands of dollars. I'm going to test it and try it, and it may not work. That's not the case. We built a system and we called it iPas for a reason, because it's Internet Prospect Acceleration Systems. We want to accelerate how quickly you make money in a new business. If you go and open a restaurant, it's going to be at least 2 years before you make profit. We wanted to shorten all of that because the internet is extremely powerful. We all know that. The world is your marketplace. We can market to anybody in any language at any time while you sleep. We all know that. But where do you start here, and how do you end up here in making money? iPas and this vision that I had 4 years ago was the sum of all parts. It's combining all that together to make it easy, simple, fun, and more importantly, duplicatable for the average person, even the little guy, to be able to come in and make some money and then scale their business to the moon if they wish. And that was just the vision. And unfortunately, it took us longer than expected. Unfortunately, we had to go through a lot of expense and time to do that. But I believe we have the best team in the world. I believe we have some of the best talent, the best supporters, the best leadership. And I believe this is a brand that a lot of people are going to come together with and really change some lives with it. Oh, it feels amazing. It feels how you always wish it would feel when you're growing as an entrepreneur. You always wonder, what's it going to feel like when people start seeing your product or start seeing the benefits of what you do. So it starts in your brain and you produce it through collaboration and hard work. What does that feel like? You can't even put it into words, honestly. To see the smiles on their face, the cries in their eyes, it's unbelievable, and to have a system like this, which I believe is just the beginning of a major shift that's happening online. And I don't think there's anything like it, because no matter which way you look, there's always difficulty, there's always challenge. And so iPas was just made to make things simple and easy and fun again, and without all the confusion and the skepticism. And honestly, I can tell you that to see this product come out now and to see what people are doing with it, it just makes me want to do more. You'd think that, okay, we're great, we built this system and people are having all this success and making all this money. You know what? I go right back to the lab again and say, how can we do this even better? It just fuels the fire inside of me, because I know we can reach more people. If we can reach this many people like we have now, and we just got done renting a whole stadium full of people, Marlin Stadium in Miami, we filled with people that embrace the iPas system, that are seeing success with this system. So what can we do next time? How can we do this bigger? How can we reach more people, more languages, more cultures? And that's just what it feels. So success for me just feels that. Already people are making hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars with iPas1. Now we have iPas2, which completely changes the game online. And if you hesitate, you're going to miss out on everything. So my suggestion to you is to put yourself in a position to succeed. We've built this over the years and years of testing, and now you have all these people to align with to be able to become successful. So hesitation is going to be your biggest enemy. And Honestly, if you look at the internet the way it is today, it's this huge opportunity. iPas is now coming in to carry you along the way and to give you the success that you need. The opportunity right now with something like iPas2 and the system that we developed here is, honestly, it couldn't be a better time with the way the internet's moving now and how social media is really taking people to a whole new level. iPas is really just going to be that foundation that everybody wants or has been wanting. I remember it was 4 years ago, I was thinking to myself, gosh, what if this was there and that worked that way and we could do this way? And you know what? It's all here now. And so the opportunity couldn't be greater because, first of all, nobody's ever seen anything like this. There's never been anything that's merged a product line with a system online that gives the average person exactly what they need. So instead of going and getting this and getting that component and this technology and this system, everything is in one place with a bunch of great leadership that's involved. So a community in the thousands, leadership in the hundreds, everything is in its place, and the best part is it's just started. It's just started. So yeah, I mean, this is the best time to get a system like this, and honestly, if you hesitate or you doubt yourself and you doubt a system like this, you're gonna miss out. You're going to miss out in this massive opportunity, in this huge, enormous marketplace of people that want what you have and what you have the ability to give them. So I can't stress enough, if it's something that you're looking at, or if it's something that you've been looking for, or maybe you hope that something like this would come around, well, it's here. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't step on board and you don't put yourself in a position to succeed and align yourself, you'll always miss out. Whether you're behind the 8 ball or not, you have a chance right now just like everybody else, and you have a first mover's advantage right now to take advantage of something like this. And if you think about it, you're going to miss out, and what I believe, thousands upon hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars that are available out there on the internet. And if you don't take advantage of the timing, then I don't know if there'll ever be a right time for you. So iPas is a huge opportunity in itself, and it's been that way in the last 4 years we've been developing it. So many people have had great success, but there's thousands upon millions of dollars to be had with this system now, especially with its new release in iPas2 that we've developed. We've simplified things, and we really have an opportunity in front of you to make even more money. It's such a, I could throw out numbers at you all day long, but I'm going to let you use your imagination of thinking what we have. And I don't even know where I'm going now. I'm getting so tired.
No, that was good. That was really good.
All right, let me know what you want to say again.
Sure, you've got it. So it's just like,
already there's people making hundreds and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars with the iPas system. And with this new incarnation of iPas2, there's going to be millions to be had. And mark my words, there will be new money that comes into this model. People that have never made money before, I see them becoming perhaps millionaires. Honestly, there's that opportunity in front of us, and you have the opportunity to run with people that have done it before you. So other leaders, people that are making the kind of incomes that you want to make, they're all here now, and this is just starting. Already there's people making hundreds and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars with the iPas system, and with this new incarnation of iPas2, there's going to be millions to be had. And mark my words, there will be new money that comes into this model. People that have never made money before, I see them becoming perhaps millionaires. Honestly, there's that opportunity in front of us, and you have the opportunity to run with people that have done it before you. So other leaders, people that are making the kind of incomes that you want to make, they're all here now, and this is just starting.